I am in full sprint mode. I'm surrounded by works in progresses, and I am knitting socks while my partner is watching, or when my partner is around. I'm also knitting a hat while my partner is around, and I am knitting the Wanderer pullover that my partner is allegedly getting for Christmas. It's the 14th of December. My partner has just left for the gym, and I now have 2 hours of uninterrupted knitting. And this morning I woke up a bit earlier, so I went out in the living room. I did some knitting then, and my partner then woke up, came out, we had breakfast, and the minute he left for the gym, I whipped out my knitting that I had been hiding under the sofa. When he came out of the bedroom, I did such a quick scramble while trying to be silent and making it look like I was knitting on the socks all along. I wonder if he's figured it out. And I wonder if he even cares, if it's even such a big deal. I don't think it is. I think it's just become like a fixed idea for me. Hang on. My yarn got stuck in the Velcro for the mics. But when I have an idea, I just wanted to make it happen. So yeah. I mean, I'm like that with a lot of projects. I make up my mind and I sort of lock in. I really do try to make it happen when it feels important. So for example, I had a goal of hitting 100 subscribers before Christmas. And currently, as of filming this, I'm at 95. And I'm so stoked about that. I didn't know that was going to happen. I was hoping it would happen. And here we are, 5 subscribers away. That feels great. I'm so happy. A lot of them came from shorts, so I know they don't watch their long form content, but I'll take 100 subscribers. It's fun to measure. I like having milestones to measure against, although they are arbitrary. I mean, what is even a number? Half of the subscribers are probably bots, and that's fine. No, it's not fine. Dead internet theory, am I right? But I'm a real person, so if you want content from a real person hanging out in her real sofa, knitting her very real things in the real world, subscribe to my channel. I placed a stitch marker right there. That's at 80 rows. I have to knit 100 before I can start the colour work, and I'm confident that I will be able to start the colour work today. I will probably just get a few rows into the colour work before my partner gets home, and then I have practice this afternoon, and then this evening is probably just going to be pottering around the apartment, trying to get it in order again for the weekend. And do some cooking. But I have a lot of time tomorrow evening and during the afternoon as well. So I will be working from home tomorrow, so the commute time that I would usually have for editing or for knitting a stockinette would be spent at home instead, which is great because at the moment because I'm just setting up the colour work. I will be setting up the colour work. I wouldn't want to do that in the rush hour in the morning on the subway. A bit later on in the colour work, when the rows are shorter, when the raglan has progressed a bit more, then I can knit some of the easier rounds on the subway. because there are some repeats that are just a single row of red or a 1 by 1 red and white, for example. But now at the beginning I wouldn't want to spend the time knitting it on the subway, because that would just lead to a lot of mistakes and having to pause and unravel it when I had the time, either at a break at work or when I came home. So I'm trying to be strategic about it. I am a bit bummed because I had a board meeting on a Thursday, and at that meeting we had we were sat for 3 hours, and that could have been some really good stockinette knitting time, but I had only brought the one ball of yarn and I ran out. And that's such a dumb mistake to do, because I always carry around too much yarn. I'm such an overpacker when it comes to yarn. I think that I will get through more yarn than I actually do most of the time. And then every once in a while, I'm proved right by underpacking. So now for the next 10 days, I'm going to be carrying around all of the yarn, not all of it, but a lot of yarn at every given moment where I could possibly have a little knitting break, because I don't want to have 15 minutes where I could have knit, but I didn't because I was out of yarn, or I didn't bring the right skein of, or the right colour of yarn that I needed just at that moment. I'm also considering whether I cast on the sleeve and start the stockinette parallel to the colourwork of the raglan shaping for the front, because as I said, colourwork on the subway is going to be tricky. Do I then want to spend some time knitting just a stockinette for the sleeve while I keep the colourwork lying in wait until I can actually focus on it? But that would, however, mean that I need to buy a new set of 4mm interchangeable needles, because I don't think it's feasible for me to, or is it reasonable to switch needles between cables every once in a while? It's also so dumb to just overconsume for convenience sake, so I should probably just make it work with the 4mm needles that I do have, which is this set. I don't think I have another pair of 4mm needles anywhere. No. I am feeling that the yarn is very, very soft. That is the unique selling point for this yarn. I'm very happy with the softness of it, and that is also why my partner picked it out, because we were in the Sandnes Garn factory in the summer in Norway, and I was running around for my different projects that I had in mind, and my partner was just feeling away at stuff, looking, touching, comparing, and he found this 100% alpaca yarn, and it's very, very soft, and I think it's going to make for a lovely sweater and a lovely sensory experience. But since it is so soft, the yarn is very, very slippery, so I have to wrap it around my finger very tightly, and I can feel the tendon right here straining a bit more than usual. So I am a tight knitter. I usually wrap my yarn quite tightly and quite many times. You will have noticed that in other videos, or you will be able to notice that in other videos if you look closely. But with this yarn, I feel it slipping and I worry about my tension. I want to keep an even tension, so I go back to the tightest tension that I can, because I know that is going to be an even tension, because finding a little bit of a looser gauge or tension would would require a lot more fiddling and would be a lot less reliable. So I am going back to a tight tension, which is my standard tension, but the yarn is slipping. I am also, since I'm spending so much time knitting on these 4mm needles, having a break and knitting on 2.5mm needles when I knit socks is just so good. I'm knitting the hat that I showed you at the beginning. That is knit on, I started it with a 6mm needle, and I then went down to a 5 when I had knit the brim. And the 5mm needle is definitely better, but man, I do not like thick needles. They strain my hands. I don't like them at all. It takes longer, it is harder on my hands, it's harder on my wrists as well, and yeah, a small needle is going to be my thing every day of the week. I've also noticed, now that I've filled myself so much, I have noticed that I move my hands a lot while I knit. So a stitch isn't just one hook and pull. I move my index finger, this is a pearl, and then I grab it with my thumb to pull it through, and then I sort of adjust all of the fingers on the right hand. I don't know if you can see it now, but I move all of my hands, sort of feeding the work along. And that's not something that I had thought about at all before I started filming myself and editing myself knitting. So I'm surprised that I don't have carpal tunnel syndrome. But then again, I think since this is something that I've been practicing for 20 years, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that my fingers and hands are used to the movements. How many rows do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yes. Okay, I don't want it to be too short, so although I have 19 and I need 20, I'm going to do this 20th and do another purl, and then I'll come back to knit and start the colour work. How exciting. Because I don't want to accidentally sell myself short on the front. But yeah, I have to go find the pattern because I've just knit this. It's just straight up and down. But now I have to go find the pattern so I can start with the colour work. I'm so excited. See, I ended the last video about this on a note of I don't know if I can do it, and now the hubris is back. I mean, how long could it take? How long could it possibly take for me to finish the flat worked 3-colour work, raglan shaping for the front and 2 sleeves in a huge size? I could do that in 10 days, right? God, I'm insufferable to myself sometimes. And I am stuck in my mind. I don't have a choice, but you are here voluntarily. I mean, allegedly, supposedly, no one is forcing you to watch this. I mean, theoretically, you could have fallen asleep on the sofa and you were logged off your YouTube account, so the algorithm is just throwing things at you, and I am actually visiting you in your dreams while you snore on the sofa. And that is why you are watching this video. Maybe it wasn't your conscious choice, Maybe it wasn't even your algorithm's choice. Maybe it was just a fluke that you're here. But either way, I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you get to witness my hubris. I'm not going to say triumph, because I am trying to keep it a bit realistic. Although my hubris is saying one thing, my time estimation skills and extensive experience as a knitter is telling me that I should curb my enthusiasm, or I should manage my expectations. But the hubris is alive and kicking, let me tell you. Okay, I am now on the last purl round, then I'll go find my pattern, and then I'll start with the colour work. And the colour work is probably going to require me to shut up and watch the biathlon. I'm watching the men's sprint from Hochfilzen, and that's how I spend my Sunday mornings in December and January, all during the winter. The biathlon is just, it's just such a neat little sport, and it's such a nice viewing experience, and the Swedish commentators are very, very good. They have quite pleasant voices, and the commentator always has an expert with him. So one of two previous quite high ranking biathletes who can comment and answer questions and give like expert insight, and that is quite neat, I think. So that's what I will be watching. This is from last weekend, I think, because last weekend was just too hectic for me to have time in front of the telly. But now I do. I have another hour and a half to enjoy the biathlon and knitting. See, I'm nearly finished with the purl row now. Do I get up, turn off the camera, do my thing, or do I just chat pointlessly until I've finished the row? Because the brain likes a sense of completion. It doesn't like leaving things unfinished, and I don't like leaving things unfinished. I don't like leaving a flat project in the middle of a row. I much prefer leaving it when I've actually finished. And if I do a colour work, I want to finish the colour work chart repeat before I put it down. So, okay, good. I have 101 rows. I have to get more brown yarn. I have my white and my red right here. You can't really see, can you? Sort of. And I'm going to get the pattern. And let's start with the colour work. Yes. So excited. Oh my god. There is no one in the world that can piss me off as much as me. I have the yarn, I brought the knitting, I brought the needles, but I forgot the printed out pattern at work. Because again, I didn't think that I would be able to get this much progress before I got back to work. So I didn't bring the physical pattern with me. I brought my work notes so I can do a proper job on Monday, tomorrow, but I didn't bring the pattern. So now I have to look at a screen while I knit. It's not the end of the world, but it's quite annoying. And do I have any... Because since I write everything in the margins of my pattern, this would have been a disaster if I were at the point of casting on for a new piece, because I wouldn't know the number of stitches that I needed, because I faffed around with a gauge because I couldn't meet a proper gauge on the recommended needle size. So I am knitting off gauge. I realise that that is a dangerous thing to do, but let's see if I can find did I download it or yes, I did. But now theoretically I should be able to just follow the pattern, the charts that are given, because those don't change depending on the size. I remember which size instructions I need, so I am just going to do that, establish pattern. Okay, so work chart A to end. Okay, I should be able to do that. Go me. I don't like having multiple screens in front of me at once. It feels excessive. It is excessive. But why is everything sounding super wet in the house? But for chart A, that doesn't include any shaping, any decreasing. So I should just be able to knit away. Oh, right, and sorry for banging the microphone. And for this, I want the white to be my main colour, or my dominant. So I will be holding that in my left, on my left side, on my left finger. And now I'm setting up the pattern. So the pattern is quite neat because it does include a bunch of different charts with different geometric shapes. And as I said in my last video, or first, I don't know, one of the videos, the pattern actually makes sense. So you do have to be mindful of the chart to see when you switch from one pattern to the next. But for now, for example, I am doing triangles, one solid triangle and one spaced out triangle, or one that's broken up, and that is going to be a pattern that is easy to follow over the course of the next 3 rows, and then I have to do something else. So it took me a little while in the beginning to figure out the logic, but because you knit chart A before you do any decreasing, and then you knit chart B and C while you decrease, and a bit into chart C, I think I started to get a hang of the logic behind it. So that's a broken one, and now I'm starting a whole one. So this will be me for the next half hour or so. Wish me luck. Sorry about the front-facing camera frog angle. Yes, I have now finished half of chart C, and I'm finishing the juiciest repeat, this double stitch chevron. It's not I'm not saying double stitch, but I'm saying this 2 1 2 white that goes in a zigzag. I'm doing that. That is, I think, the most impactful part of the whole pattern. I have another 32 rows before I split for the neck edging. So pray for me. After I split for the neck edging, I have, what do? I place a removable marker on each side of a few center stitches, and then I shape right front. Continue to work raglan decreases as established, bind off 4 stitches. Three, 5 rows, 6 rows until I'm finished, so it's going to be a quite shallow neckline. Then I do the same for the left side, and then I do the sleeves. That little detail, and honestly, this would have been so much quicker if I just knitted in the round. There would have been so much less faffing with the Colourwork lining up, because now I'm not convinced that this is going to line up. It's going to look a bit more pieced together than a whole. If I'm not insanely lucky, I'm not convinced that I can do the sewing together in a neat way, because the edge stitches are just very inconsistent. Look at me. How negative Nancy of me. Let me rephrase that. Where I am in this project is far enough for me to, again, feel like I could possibly finish by Christmas. I am wondering if the level of thought and care that I have put into these flat pieces will show once I seam them together, because I'm very much more secure, or confident is what I'm looking for, confident in my colourwork knitting than I am in my seaming. My edges are what edges in Colourwork are. I have a bunch of loose strands that at the moment look quite chaotic, and that is fine. This is a work in progress. Once it is all secured, I'm sure that the side will look a lot neater. And if the first stitches in each row aren't secure enough to make a tight enough seam, I'll just go in one row or one column, one stitch. That will make the seam a bit bulkier, but I will be happier with the result. Okay, am I happier with that explanation? I think so, yes. I don't need to be mean to myself when it comes to this gorgeous piece of work that I have been doing. It's going to be loved either way, and if it ends up being too small, which it might, I will re-knit it, or I will knit something else, and that is also going to be fine. This is not the end of the world. Can you tell I'm convincing myself? So that's where I am right now. Halfway through chart C for the first time. I have to do it another time, or nearly a whole other time. And then I can, once I have this finished, I can actually start seeing the work, or the end result, I think. Do I tell you? Yes, I think I will. I made a mistake. I realised it far too late. In my original pattern, the paper pattern, I had marked how many stitches I needed for the gauge that was given in the pattern. If you saw my first video, you'll know that I didn't hit that gauge. I found another size that worked with the gauge that I got, and I'm happy with it. But the original marking was still in the pattern. And when I was casting on, and then I marked the new size that I needed, which was one size down, in another colour, because I already marked it in an orange, I think, and I marked the new one in a yellow. And when casting on for the front, I accidentally cast on the orange size. So these are 10 stitches too many. Since I don't have the back panel here, I can't really compare it to what I have here. But I mean, 10 stitches. Let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 stitches too many is, hang on, this was the wrong way around to show you. It's this much. Will this show? Maybe. Will I reknit this entire piece with all of the stockinette and all of the colour work that entails? Absolutely not. So I think that this might actually be a good thing. Listen to me gaslighting myself into thinking this was actually a good thing. Power of toxic positivity. This might actually be a good thing because I was worried that it was going to be too small, and now I have this much more room. That is an inch. So I don't know if that's going to be too big or if it's going to be just right, or after it blocks how it's going to hang or sit or fit. But I am now trying to figure out how the different sizes come together, because the charts go for different sizes. So the medium size that I had been knitting for the back has a medium for the sleeve and so the sleeve charts, for example, are different between the medium and the large. So this was knit on the large number and the back was knitted on the medium number. So on one side, the pattern isn't going to add up properly for the raglan. That might be a problem for me. But since this is such a new project for me and such a new construction, I don't think that I can beat myself up about it too much. I don't think that even if I had figured it out perfectly, that it would line up, because I'm not confident that I actually managed to read where I needed to start the pattern to begin with. So that the charts, since they decrease, and I have a chart B that's right here on the page, and then I have a chart C that's over here. So I can't even see how the different charts are supposed to be aligned with each other. So what I am doing hopefully won't matter. It will hopefully look good either way. This is such a geometric repeat that I think the raglan is going to break it up nicely either way. But I stand by the fact that this would have been so much easier to do in the round. And if I have to remake this in a different size, I would definitely figure out how to make it in the round, because this is just unnecessarily fiddly, in my opinion. I think the raglan would look a lot cleaner if I did it in the round too. And my knitting would be a lot faster. I don't think that the tendon in my index finger would be as strained. It's not hurting, but I can feel it because I wouldn't need to do this motion when I do pearls for half of this project. And it would be a bit quicker too. But that's not the point in knitting, is it? My partner is about to come home. I'll go hide this and make some food.